All right, we're going. It's just me for now. Nate's on his way, so we'll handle that when he gets here. Gonna do once more an audio check that hopefully works this time. So let's do that before we really get into it. All right, I need to test my own voice. I wonder if it's doing it again. It was like being real weird on my phone. Okay, that's working. The Twitch app is horrible, by the way. All right, we're working, we're going, we're going. All right. F101 Week 18. It is just me. Like I said earlier, Nate will be here at a point. I don't know when that is. We'll figure it out. Should be around 15 minutes. So we're gonna kind of start in reverse order today. We'll start with kind of the bottom of the pack and we'll work our way up to the top, to the front runners. So this is the Singapore review. Happy Halloween. Well, not Halloween, but happy October, which is Halloween month. Um, Before we get started, of course, we'll have our weekly moment of silence for Dave. But first, we're gonna do a double moment of silence this week because, as you've probably heard if you pay attention to F1 in any capacity, Roscoe, who was Lewis Hamilton's dog, who is in the thumbnail of this episode, passed away on Monday. He will be forever memorialized in our hearts. And in the F1 movie, he got more screen time than most of the drivers did. Um, he got sick, fell into a coma, and they decided to put him down. Um, and Lewis's year just keeps getting worse. If you thought it was bad that he lost his dog, now he has to go drive a Ferrari. So it's only getting worse for Lewis. But of course, our hearts go out to him. We love him. It sucks to lose a pet. And we really feel for him. So we're gonna have a double moment of silence, one for Dave, who's not here, and one for Roscoe. So we'll begin that now. All right, and if I was if I was like competent and I knew what I was doing, I would have probably played taps during that moment. But I don't have the I don't I just don't have I don't have the energy to figure that out. So we're just gonna roll with it. We're going in reverse order. Like I said, Nate's gonna be here. We'll talk about McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull when he gets here. So let's start at the end, and then we'll work our way back to the beginning of the document. And also the points. Haas and Alpine this week, as they have been for a lot of the week, they're kind of at the bottom of the pack. The Haas is unwieldy. It's really inconsistent. Both drivers have they haven't been amazing this year. But I think Behrman deserves more praise than he's gotten, especially since he's managed to score in that Haas in his rookie year, especially because Ocon, who we know can win races and we know is a good driver, is also really struggling. Um, but the Haas is at mercy of the car. I guess we should talk about the track first. But we'll just we'll do that. So that's Haas. We'll get back to them really quickly. Qualifying is Saturday at 9 a.m. The race is Sunday at 8. I am actually gonna end up missing qualifying. I have to help my parents with some housework, but at the exact same time, we're starting at 9, so I'll miss that, but that's okay. Singapore is a brutal, brutal track. It is real hot here. It's real humid. Um, if you saw the last season of Drive to Survive, you probably saw Russell overheat and have a bit of a panic attack. I don't think they should have shown that. That was really messed up, in my opinion. I don't know why they showed that, but he has a hard time cooling off. That's why they have those fancy space age jackets with the fans built inside. This, I mean, this race is brutal, and the fact that doing a sprint here next year is even crazier. It's just one of the most physically challenging on the drivers, and it's also really hard to overtake here, which means qualifying is going to be really, really important. Which is going to, I think, be more important next year when there's only one practice session as opposed to three here. And it's not like overtaking is impossible; it's just difficult. Singapore's where Crashgate happened all those years ago. Um, a lot. There's always been drama in Singapore. It's the one race Red Bull didn't win in 2023. There was Russell. He crashed. And Sainz had like that master class that year. Last year, Lando won really impressively. Excuse me. And I think it's gonna be a really interesting race. It's a good test for the drivers, for all of them. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be brutal. There might be a lizard or two on track if the past is anything to go off of. So we'll see how the drivers handle it. I don't know if any of the rookies have driven here. I don't know if F2 comes to Singapore. So that might be tough on them. I mean, it will be tough on them and everybody, but it's not going to be where like Japan, where no one could pass, and it's not going to be like you know, Imola, where it's no one can pass. I think it's going to be more. I mean, aside from you make a really crazy move at the start, it's going to be difficult to pass here, but it's not impossible. But it's also not going to be like a pass and overtake every lap kind of deal. So it's going to be tough, and pit stops are going to be really important, which could be rough for McLaren given their pit stop history. But we'll get more into that when Nate gets here. So now that we've talked about Singapore, it's a night race. It's technically Alex Albon. It's not like his home race. It's his home race adjacent. That's why I didn't put him there. Um, but now that we've talked about Singapore, now that we talked about the track. Uh, we will move on. Weather, I believe it's not going to rain during the race, but I think it might rain around the race in qualifying. Last I saw it, the race and qualifying like sessions should not have rain, but it might rain before those, which would obviously freshen up the track, make it grip really hard, and it could be if it's real sticky and humid, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to race there. So it's gonna be a test. This could be a battle of attrition. I know I've said that about a lot of races this year, but it really could be here as well. Uh, Qualifying kind of like Baku 2 weekends ago, last race where qualifying could be really exciting and the race could prove to be a bit of a snooze fest. But we'll see. There's only one way to know, and that's to watch. So we'll get there when we get there. And if qualifying is really exciting, I'm gonna be bummed because I'm gonna miss it. Um, so that is Singapore. A brief preview on the track and stuff. I don't have like the track stats on hand. I'll bring them up if I need to kill more time. But Haas, I talked about already. I think it's gonna be really tough for them. I don't think they're gonna do necessarily well here. And they could, sniff the points, but I don't know if they'll actually get into the points. One team that's most likely not getting into the points is Alpine. It's a disaster. We all know it's a disaster. We all know that Pierre can outdrive the car, but he hasn't been able to lately. And Colapinto is still on the hunt for his first points finish of the year. And I don't know if it's going to happen here, and I don't know if it's going to happen at all. He's been slow. The car's been slow, which is rough. So it's not like he can do much with it. But we've seen that Gasly can score on the car and he can qualify well on the car. And Colapinto has qualified well on the car, but he hasn't been able to score in it just yet. So I mean, especially with what was it? The British Grand Prix where there was like all those DNFs and Colapinto still didn't score. Alpine didn't score at all. So it's definitely the slowest car. They're really focusing on next year. I'm sure they've been focusing on next year for a while. But Briatore, he knows how to win here. Now, whether he knows how to win within the rules here is up for debate, certainly, but he knows how to win here. So if Gasly gets a mysterious lead or an early pit stop, and Colapinto crashes, that would be hilarious, immediately because of the Crashgate stuff. But you never know. You never know. I don't think Briatore will do something like that again. Uh, but I wouldn't put it below him for sure. It wouldn't be as obvious. I think if he's gonna cheat, it's gonna be next year. So we will. All eyes will be on him certainly, and Alpine, but not for any good reason. Sauber's mid-season surge has kind of simmered down now that we're entering the later stages of the year. And the car, I guess the tracks haven't suited the car as well. Excuse me, we're a long way off from Hulk podium. We are a long way off from Hulk podium. 6 weeks of Formula One uh terms, but we're like multiple months. So Salvers and then Bortoletto's kind of slowed down as well. Um, I really feel like after Podium, Hulkenberg kind of like was like I did it, and now he's kind of mellowed out. Um, but these last few six races, I think they're going to be a real test for Bortoletto and for everyone, really. But for Sauber to see kind of where they're building off of for next year. For Bortoletto as a rookie, as a very fast rookie, one of the fastest rookies, definitely. I would rank him in the top three, I think, with Hadjar and Antonelli. Um, it's a variety of racetracks. We got a lot of different things coming up. We've got Austin and Brazil, which are really beautiful racetracks, great for overtaking. Uh, Brazil has usually some weather shenanigans. You've got Vegas, which is a lot more like Monza. You had Baku last weekend. You've got Singapore, which is a total different animal. Um, Abu Dhabi, who cares? And Mexico, which is a great race too. So you've got a lot of good stuff coming up, but it's a lot of variety. So it'll be a good test for him and for the car as well. Sauber hasn't been the tractor it was last year. The drivers still are at the mercy of their car. Even though it's not as slow as it was, it's still not very fast. Um, and I think they're gonna have to capitalize on some drama to improve their standings, and it's not unlikely there's gonna be some mid-race drama, but they're really gonna have to be in the right place at the right time. But it'll be a good test for the team, and I think it's gonna be good for Bortoletto and the remaining rookies. Bortoletto is really gonna be able to show what he can do, um, and how he can handle a variety of tracks. Aston Martin is so wildly, they might be the most inconsistent team this year. And if I'm being honest, sometimes the car rocks, sometimes it sucks. Everyone in that team has admitted they have no idea why it's really good some weeks and it's really bad other weeks. Alonso confirmed this week that if the 20, wow, I need a nap. Alonso confirmed that if the car in 2026 is competitive, it's going to be his last year. So that seat is potentially open up in the future. And drivers are going to be eyeing it. There's been a few people's names tossed out. You've got Russell because he fits the brand, and because there's the Verstappen to Mercedes rumors and Russell to Aston. Who knows? Verstappen could go to Aston. He's worked with Aston Martin before. One of his to develop a hypercar, I believe, or like some one of his racing things that he does is partnered with Aston. Um, and then, he's worked with Adrian Newey in the past, and who wouldn't want to sign Max Verstappen? Yuki could go there because they're partnering with Honda starting next year, so he could be a reserve driver next year and then maybe move up. There's Grugovich, who is their current reserve driver. He could maybe move up. I don't know, Bortoletto, because Alonso is his manager. He could possibly get in that seat. There's a lot of possibilities. I've heard people throw out Leclerc, Piastri. I don't think those have any any like base. Really, I don't think those are like realistic. I think of the top drivers, George and Max are probably the most likely, and between those two, it's definitely Max. Um, but I think Max is so entrenched in Red Bull, so maybe it's not Max, maybe it's George. We'll have to see what the field looks like after 2026 because he said if the car isn't competitive, he's might be going for it again. But if it is competitive, he's like, yeah, I'm done. Which is fair. He's old. He's old. Lewis, I'd have to imagine is also done after next year, regardless, just because he's had a horrible time in Ferrari. He's also getting up there. The other Aston seat is safe. Lance Stroll is in there as long as he wants to be. And he has not had a great year, but he still had a Signs in the totals, and Signs has a podium. So it shows you that he's done okay, Lance Stroll. He's done all right. He's had these glimmers of real speed. It's just not consistent. Um, and with the unpredictability of the car, it's really hard to judge his performance. But I think we all know that Lance Stroll isn't the best driver, and he's not doing as well as he could be, especially for having been in the sport for so long. And Lance gets a lot of hate because his dad's in charge of the team, and he gets to race in the team for as long as he wants. And I understand that. I understand that. Like that. I understand the reason for the hate. I think it's a little too harsh at times, but you know, and Lance has shown some moments, but he's gonna have to keep showing moments for people to not hate him. I don't know. He'd have to win a championship, I guess, for people not to hate him. So I don't know all that to say. I don't really know how well Aston's gonna do here. I think it's gonna be tough for them. Or the car could be really, really good. They're like on two ends. It could be either. We'll see. My bet is that they probably are going to be in the lower end of the field. V Carb is coming off a really strong weekend. Lawson Revival is once again underway. Congratulations to Liam Lawson. He finished in fourth in Baku, did really well. And the V Carb Revival in general is underway after AlphaTauri's not so stellar finishes in the past few years, aside from, they've had again moments of brilliance and they had the win in 2021, but whatever. Um they VCarb, him and Lawson and Hadjar have had a really strong year. They've done really well this year. They're making a lot, and honestly, they're making the most of the opportunities that are presented to them during race day. Lawson got off to a rough start for sure, especially when compared to Hadjar's like really strong start. So like they were kind of opposite then, but they've kind of matched each other. Obviously, Hadjar has the podium, which was great. And Lawson, but Lawson was there. He was in fourth. He was so close to his maiden podium. They're really talented. They're talented drivers in a strong car, so their expectations are only going up. The problem is which one goes to Red Bull next year, and they're both aware of that, and they're both going to be racing for it. My money's probably on Hadjar. Lawson stays in V Carb, and then Lindblad. I've been calling him Lindblad for all year. It's Lindblad. um, he'll probably move up after Yuki gets booted out. That's probably what's going to happen. But we'll have to see. Hadjar could, put in a bunch of really horrible performances, and Lawson could just crush it at the end of the year, and then Lawson gets moved up again. So we'll see. They're definitely in a fight for the Red Bull seat, though. I think that's no secret. Um, Williams, the vibes are great over at Williams. Coming off of the Sainz podium, they're feeling real good. Sainz has a great performance record here in Singapore with Ferrari. He won in 2023, being the only non-Red Bull car to win that year. And while Albon had a horrible, horrible Baku, I imagine he'll be able to bounce back. And Williams upper reaches the podium, both of them potentially. I think it's possible. Podium again? Probably not. But up reaches the points? Certainly. Certainly possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Another chaotic qualifying is also pretty likely here. So, they could also get shafted and get super, super unlucky. Uh, Williams, I think it's a good sign that Sainz, uh, got the podium. He's clearly more in tune with the car than he was at any other point in the year, especially after his rough start. So vibes are good at Williams. Hope is rising for Williams. I got to imagine they have a lot of faith in this year's project and probably next year's project as well. Where, we were all wondering, like, Sainz stays on Williams for 1 year, 2 years, then he dips out to Audi, but maybe he sticks with Williams. And he seems to be, I don't know if he's having a better time than he was in Ferrari, but at least the vibes in Williams are way better than the vibes at Ferrari. The vibes at Ferrari, horrible. Let's get into that. If you thought Hamilton's week couldn't get worse after putting down Roscoe, think again, because now he has to drive a Ferrari. An F1 Ferrari, by the way. Not like an F40 or, like a GT3 car or anything like that. No, it's just for the F1 Ferrari team. The team's a total mess this year. It feels like they can't do anything right. They have podiums, but the vibes aren't good. The vibes are not good over there. Lewis is having a total disaster of a year, it feels like. And he, even though he won the sprint in China, no one really cares because it's a sprint. So, he wants that Ferrari podium. Probably more than anyone else. He also definitely wants that win with Ferrari, probably more than anybody else. I don't think that his hunger has gone anywhere. I just think it's going to be a rough weekend for him. The vibes are going to be horrible. The media is going to ask him about Roscoe. It's going to be a mental challenge for Lewis. And he could rise above that for sure. And he's been able to in the past. But I think it's going to be rough. He loved that dog. We all loved Roscoe, but obviously Lewis loved him more than any of us ever did combined. So it's gonna be tough for Lewis. I think it's gonna be a tough weekend for him. Um, Leclerc had a horrible time in Baku after crashing and qualifying and not really being able to do anything in the race. Hamilton couldn't do anything in the race either. The car has been slow. It's been unable to follow people, which is really rough. Um, and I just don't think it's likely that either of them are going to get the podium here. I don't think Lewis is getting his first, and I don't know if Leclerc's getting up on there either, especially because Verstappen is on fire lately. Russell's really consistent, and McLaren are going to be desperate to claw back onto the podium after two pretty disappointing weekends in a row. Not that I guess Monza wasn't disappointing in terms of performance, but it was marred. They got second and third. There was some drama there between the team, and Max still won. So I'm not going to be surprised if this is another rough week for the Scuderia. They're all looking ahead to next year. They've been looking ahead to next year. But now it's really I've seen way more like in the Ferrari subreddit and stuff like that of like next year's our year. I've seen way more of like that than I have at any point in the season. So we've reached that phase of the Ferrari life cycle where it's next year's our year, and then it's gonna be like we look really good in preseason, it's our year. And it's like, slow start, but we can still do it. And it's like, okay, summer break reset. And it's like, okay, next year's our year. And then rinse and repeat. That's the Ferrari way. At least modern Ferrari. Mercedes, now second in the World Constructors Championship. Congratulations to them. They're riding high after making the most of McLaren's mistakes, or at least as much as they could. Uh, Russell's done pretty well here, aside from the crash in 2023, and he was pushing the car and himself over the limit. I kind of talked about this already. He physically suffers here more than anyone else because he has a hard time cooling down his body. And like I said, Singapore is brutal. It's super hot. It's super humid. It's the most demanding race of the year, especially ever since they moved Saudi Arabia into one of the cooler months. But the one year they had Saudi Arabia in like the summer over there was crazy. I mean, that was just dangerous. Um, but I think Russell's still been consistent, and I think he's gonna do well here. There's no like, I get not putting him on the podium because if you want like a McLaren and a Max in there, but I putting him on the podium isn't wrong. So and now they're ahead of Ferrari in the constructors. So I think they're feeling pretty good, and they're gonna want to keep building that lead to stay ahead of Ferrari. Um, Kimmy, he's on the up lately. He's been doing well again. He's kind of been up and down all year. He's had like large ups and large downs. He's kind of like a rolling hills. But I expect him the points for sure, if not the upper half of the points again. Um, his inconsistency, I chalk up to him being a rookie. He's not going to be perfect. Max Verstappen wasn't perfect his rookie year. No one's perfect their rookie year. He's not going to win the championship, and that's okay. But he's shown a lot of reason as to why Toto put him in that car so early. In my personal opinion. So I think he's going to do. I would like to see him do well here, and I think he can. I don't know if he's ever raced in Singapore before, so it's probably going to be a little tough. But I think he can definitely. There's a chance. There's a big chance. Um, so Kimi stocks are only rising. I think, unless he does horribly, and then I don't know what to say. Like I said, he's been inconsistent. And uh, but that's due to him being, I think, a rookie. But Russell has been really consistent this year, so he's in the podium conversation, and I wouldn't fault you for putting him in your podium conversation. Um, And Nate still isn't here, so I'm gonna text him real quick, let him know if I need to burn some time. Do, 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 do. While I take a drink of water. Texted him, ETA. Gonna take a sip of water. I think he's home. I have his location. He gave it to me. He made like in college, he made all of us share our locations with each other, so I don't really know. Um, I didn't do it because I turned off location services on my phone, but I got his, so I think he's home. All right, well, I wait for him to respond and wait for him to get here. Let's look up some stats about the Singapore Grand Prix F1. 10 questions on, well, that's the latest news in Singapore history. The Ultimate Fan Guide to Singapore. Oh gosh, can I get like, no, this is just what to do if you're there. I'm not gonna be there. I need to read this for Austin though. um, there is a lizard. Yes, there's always a lizard on track. Um, what's on at the Singapore Grand Prix? Oh my goodness. Live entertainment again. This is for people who are there. Singapore's kind of like it's really clean there, isn't it? It's a very clean country. Isn't there like a very harsh littering penalty? I don't think you get arrested. I think that's like made up. Um, but I think the penalty still is pretty intense. All right, Singapore GP Grand Prix. Oh, Nate's here. Anyway, while he gets his stuff set up. Um, it's the first street circuit in Asia designed for F1 races. Fun fact. It was the inaugural night race uh for in F1, I think. First held in 1966. Wow. I did not know that. Ferrari has the most wins here, and Vettel has the most wins here as a driver. Um, oh, 66 to 73, and then in 2008 to 2025 and ongoing. 2008, obviously, we've already discussed Crashgate. I would like the track description. Do, 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 do. It is the lap is 3 miles long. There's 19 turns. It's on asphalt. Nate, are you here yet? Gonna take that as a no. It cost around $33 million to build. That's kind of crazy. Uh, it was oh my gosh, there's so much information. Wow, I don't want to read all this. It's too much. Lap records. Here we go. Oh, he texted me. 1 sec, tech difficulties. No worries, Nate, if you can hear me. I am killing time by reading the Wikipedia article. Um, the fastest qualifying lap is a 129.5 by Lando last year. The fastest uh oh, they changed it for this year. It's new for this year? It is new for this year. What did they change? What did they change? It looks the exact same. What did they change? Wait, what did they change? Am I crazy? Well, hold on. Track. Uh, turns 1 to 3. What did they change? 2025, 2025. Turn the car slightly. Layout history. It's weird. It looks the 2025 and 2024 layout look identical, but it says it's changed with the new. It's slightly shorter. It's 0.013 kilometers shorter. But like, where did they shave that off? It literally looks like they didn't change anything. But they clearly did. They clearly shaved off. They clearly shortened it somewhere. I just don't know I just can't tell where. Anyway, I had no idea. Um, so I guess we'll see. Uh, I guess we'll see what they say about it. I didn't know. Why is it? It looks identical. Um, anyways, that's Singapore. You know what? Since Nate's here and I'm sure he can hear me even if he can't speak, we're gonna move on to Red Bull and then we'll talk about McLaren. Red Bull. All right, McLaren is the team to beat still, but they aren't the biggest story coming into this weekend. And Norris and Piastri aren't the drivers everyone's talking about. It's all about Max Verstappen. 2 wins in a row. He's mathematically still in the championship, and he just won in his Nordschleife. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Nordschleife Nürburgring debut this past weekend, which was in a Ferrari, by the way, which is really funny because Max Verstappen won in a Ferrari before Lewis Hamilton did. Granted, different racing, series, different specs, different everything. But it is still funny to say and to think about. Um, Max, uh, he has to win every single race and have Piastri come in second for all of them, except if he has to come in third at one. Like if Piastri gets second in every race except for one where he gets third and Max wins every race, and Max wins the championship by 1 point. By 1 point. That includes sprints. Um, so is that realistic? Probably not. Not really. Is it fun to speculate though? Yes, absolutely. Everyone loves that. Yeah, everyone loves a little challenge. We all know Verstappen as a driver has it in him, but can the car match? It's hard to tell. And Singapore, I think, will be a good test for how much pressure he'll apply for the rest of the year. In this regulation set, Red Bull have been real bad in Singapore. They have not done great in Singapore at all. So if Verstappen can win here, the dream is on. It's the only racetrack he hasn't won at yet. Um, it's That's currently on the calendar. There's a few that he's raced at in F1 where he hasn't won and they're no longer on the calendar. But of all the current races on all 24 tracks on the calendar this year, this is the only one he hasn't won at. So he's got some drive to do it. He wants to claim victory here. I'm sure more. So he'll, you know, the dream is on until it isn't, until he's mathematically eliminated, which probably won't take much. All it could take is a really bad performance and an Oscar Orlando masterclass. Not honestly, they're not even a masterclass. They just need to win. So meanwhile, Tsunoda is coming off of his best weekend in Red Bull. And he's carrying some really solid momentum into this race. So I think he'll be really interesting to watch here as well. I think Red Bull is going to be a very interesting team to watch. Obviously, a lot of other people agree. Everyone's talking about Red Bull. It's all about Max Verstappen, how he won at the Nürburgring, he won in Baku. And he's got all this momentum. He's got all this hype around him. And we'll see how much pressure he can apply to McLaren throughout the rest of the year. Um, Nate, have you solved your tech issues? You gotta take that as a no. So let's talk about the Nürburgring a little bit. It's in, it's in Germany. Um, the I think I heard you.
Is this finally, dude? I'm so sorry. I
No,
tried
no
three different.
worries, no worries.
Just gave myself an aneurysm going through all that.
No worries. I'm just glad you're here. Here's what you missed. I rambled about Singapore a lot to kill time. I held a moment of silence for Roscoe. I held a moment of silence for Dave. Dave isn't dead or anything, but ever since he started taking art classes, he's not been able to make F101. And so
Mm,
I hold a moment of silence for him whenever he's not here because I feel like it's what he would have wanted. Um,
mm.
and I talked about everyone else. I said the vibes at Ferrari are horrible. And I'm about to get to McLaren. The one thing I wanted to say about the Nürburgring is that it's got multiple different layouts, and Nordschleife is like one of the track layouts of the Nürburgring. So that's why everyone's referring to Max's Nürburgring win as the Nordschleife win because that's like the layout he won at. I don't know too much else about the Nürburgring other than James May hates it, so take that up with him. So McLaren, good timing. I didn't have to extend that much. So good timing. You're here for the McLaren section. Max is on a tear, but McLaren's not going to make it easy. And after two rough races in a row, again, I kind of mentioned this earlier. Monza wasn't necessarily like a rough race in terms of performance, like overall, like finish and performance. But there was a lot of other like bullshit and drama that happened during the race for the team that soured their standing. Um, so they really need to get it together and they need to put in a driver performance that we know that both of those drivers are capable of. Team has been sloppy. They've had slow stops. They've had team order disasters. Their setup has been wrong the past few times. Their driver performances, especially at Baku, nothing to write home about. They still have the most dominant car. Yes, I know Lando. I'm not going to rag on it too much. Lando said a whole thing about how the Red Bull like is still like the fastest or whatever, or like that it's not as slow as everyone's saying it was. And we don't need to get into that. um, Lando just needs to shut up about who has the fastest car, I think. So they have the best car, but they're not doing anything with it. Monza was a mess. Baku was a disaster. A third bad weekend in a row would just be like a spiral for the team, and that spiral shouldn't be happening. We should not be talking about Verstappen winning the drivers' championship. We shouldn't be talking about that. That conversation shouldn't be taking place, but it is taking place. Um, and so that's kind of like where McLaren is at right now. Um, their slow stops, especially, are going to be rough here because it's hard to overtake here, which means a quick, clean pit stop is going to be really important. And if you get a bad pit stop and you're stuck in traffic or whatever, it's going to be it's going to be rough. And I don't know what's going on, but their pit stops have not been good this year, especially when it matters.
Yeah, I mean, we had like the one or a few really good. I think it was like twice, like we hit like 1.9,
Yeah, you have the
and
fastest one of the year. I think it was in Miami though, which was week 6.
yeah, so it's like really notched that like when it did not have any huge implications. I mean, not that it's. I'm not trying to demean that or discredit it, but
Of
it's just
course.
yeah, especially like you said, like here, like it's very essential. Um, Especially now to just where this falls on the calendar. Like we're later in the year. Like the title picture is kind of more um, shaping up more, um, and most of that puzzle is solved. So very much more impactful.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, with all the eyes on them on the pit crew after the string of errors, it's like, do we really want that kind of pressure added
Right.
like on top of the already like the already existing scrutiny? Uh,
Right. Totally agree. Um, I mean, that was the difference between Lando coming out ahead of Yuki and Lawson and Leclerc and behind them all. So was another slow stop. So and Lando's slow stop in Monza is why we had the drama of the team orders. And so the
mm,
constructors, I think, is still locked up. I mean, they haven't won it yet. Everyone thought they were going to win it 2 weekends ago, but they haven't done that just yet. Um, but it's still locked up from them to be sure. They'll still likely score more points than anyone's ever scored as a team. And I think the drivers will be between Oscar and Lando, probably down to Abu Dhabi. But it is fun to be like, but if Max wins everything from here on out,
a lot, yeah, a lot could change. A lot could
so.
change.
But I don't know how realistic that is. Uh, but and it's fun. Everyone's talking about like, oh, Max is still in it, and it's because I think it's multifaceted. It's because it's Max and he's so good. And also because it's fun, and it's kind of like the first time this year where there's been like, oh, it's not just McLaren in like
Mm,
the championship battle. Because even when Max was winning, like he won in Japan, and like when he won in like wherever I forget where else he's won at. But people were still like, yeah, he won, but it's still between McLaren. So But
Mm.
now obviously it's shifted. But I think a part of that is because Max, and between like the Nürburgring stuff and everything, he's kind of like on a PR. He's kind of like on a best, best actor Oscar like PR train right now. Like Leo, not like Leonardo DiCaprio is. It's kind of how I'm envisioning Max's current performances. He's just on a media tour, which
No,
is funny because
I feel
that's like
you.
the last thing he would ever do.
Yeah. Well, this is as close as it'll get.
Yeah, I I think if he wins here, the conversations aren't going to stop. Certainly, um, and I think it's going to take him to. I think if he gets podium here, even then they'll still be like the conversations about him winning it all will slow down. I don't think they're going to stop, but I think it's McLaren. I think it's on McLaren more than Verstappen. Um,
Mm.
to put in like a good performance. Obviously, not to discredit Max Verstappen because I I think he's the best driver right now. Um, but and like I think even if McLaren was fighting him in second and third in Baku, he probably still would have won just because he's very good at defending. Um,
Mm.
but him winning in Baku and McLaren doing poorly. McLaren didn't do poorly because he won. McLaren did poorly because they did poorly.
Mm. Yeah. Failure
So
to execute.
yeah, so I think it's on McLaren to shape it up. And that I mean I cannot imagine the pressure in that garage to have a good pit stop after 2 weekends in a row with poor ones.
Yeah.
So uh,
Yeah.
all eyes on them in the center of the ring, just like a circus. To quote the great Britney Spears.
And I mean, they really chose like just. I mean, like Singapore is just such a hard. Like you said, like it's hard to overtake. But on top of that, though, like track temperatures are crazy,
Yeah,
which would,
physically
in
demanding.
theory, yeah, like in theory would work to our advantage. Like,
Yes,
um,
you're great at cooling.
right. So like, ideally, like it should work to our advantage. But then, of course, again, like what we were just talking about with the pits, like if we fuck it up somehow,
Right.
and then on top of that too, like the schedule, which I mean, essentially they're on like European time, but then it's like they're going to sleep like when it's like daytime there. Like,
Yeah, it's all very.
so,
They kind of peeked into it in Drive to Survive last year. It was the first time they've ever talked about Singapore, really.
mm,
Um, and I think I mentioned this. You weren't here. It's gonna rain, but it's not gonna. It looks like the qualifying, practice, and race sessions are going to be clear, but before and after those sessions, it might be a little rainy. And if it rains before qualifying or before the race, that removes all the rubber off the track, and it's going to be real slippery, and then it'll be extra humid, and it's
mm,
already really humid. So, um, rain might not play a factor in the session itself, but before and after, which could be just as important.
yeah.
So it's gonna be really it's gonna be a very interesting weekend, and I am not gonna be able to watch qualifying. So I gotta help my dad with some stuff. And he's like, "You want to start at 9 a.m. on Saturday?" I was like, "Sure," right when
Sure.
qualifying starts. So, which is fine. Um, I'll look at the results, and if it was crazy, I'll watch the replay anyway for F101.
mm,
So
dedication.
yes, that is Singapore. I'll give you quick highlights. I think Mercedes is in a good spot after taking second in the constructors. Ferrari's vibes are awful. Williams' vibes are great. Everyone else is kind of the same as they've been. So anything else you'd like to add about any of the teams or the drivers, please do.
Um, I mean, well, I guess I don't know if I should be saving this for like podium picks, but
Yeah, we can do it in a little bit of
I,
both.
I was like again, just
I'll
like with
switch the tab over.
the pre- I mean, again, like the pressure's on for McLaren. Like again, it's more so like they just need to execute. Like you said, like Max is always going to be Max no matter what. Um, at this point, so
Hmm.
it really is just on us to execute. But I do think this is a while it's not ideal to be trying to hit like a regain on a circuit like this, with its schedule, I do think that it's not the worst boat for us to be in. It's
Hmm.
not the worst circuit for us to have to do so on. Again, like the temperatures, unless of course, like you mentioned, like the rain potentially impacting. Although again, that would also make it more humid if it stopped. Um, so that could again work in our favor. But temperature should work in our favor. I mean, Lando won here last year and had like a, I think like 15 or 16-second gap on Max.
Yeah,
Um,
he was very strong.
yeah, so especially I guess as a Norris believer, that makes me quite optimistic. And
Hmm.
they had a week away from the track. You know, got some time to kind of unwind a little bit. So and just kind of work in the sim and whatnot. So I think I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic for McLaren here. Of course, I say that and like front left is gonna fuck up or something in the pits, and I'm gonna be pissed off.
Well,
But
you know,
we'll see. We'll see.
we will see. I think, there's pressure on them, and they're gonna have to perform.
Hmm.
So, and Ferrari's vibes are horrible. Poor Lewis. You know the media is gonna hound him about his dog too. It's gonna be rough.
Yep. Yep. They're not gonna. Yeah. Yeah. They're not gonna let up. And we're either gonna get like uh Lewis Guardian Angel Roscoe performance.
Yeah, right. Yeah, people would say that, or he's gonna get like dead last.
Yeah, like it's like fully grieving, and it'll be like, well, he is in mourning. Like,
Yeah, yeah, like both those are fun to speculate. Here's what's gonna happen. Here's because it's happened like every race this week or every race this year, basically. Not all of them, but most of them. It's gonna be Charles is gonna qualify on pole, Lewis is gonna qualify dead last, and they're gonna finish P6, P7. It doesn't matter what they do; they will finish P6, P7. So that that's the Lewis Hamilton prediction. Brought to you by Agave or whatever. Oh, Mave, is that his like tequila or whatever? His alcohol-free
oh,
tequila.
dude, I totally foo bar. I have no idea.
Al Mave. It is. It's his non-alcoholic spirit, founded by Lewis Hamilton. I've never tried it. I think it's really expensive, and honestly, if I'm gonna drink a spirit, it's gonna be alcoholic.
Mm.
So, but I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fine. So let's get into these podium picks. So I have only thought about one of these picks, and it's something I don't know what you're gonna pick. I know what everyone else is gonna pick, and I know for a fact that I'm the only one who's done this so far. I'm gonna have Verstappen win. I think he's gonna claim Singapore. It's the only race on the calendar he hasn't won yet. I think he's taking it. And then,
Mm.
and this is where you're gonna be surprised. I'm going Norris Piastri. I'm putting Norris over Piastri this weekend.
Wow, is that the first time you've done that this year?
It's not the first
Wait,
time I've done this. Is it the first time? It is. No, I had
it's
him
definitely the first in a while.
in week 3. I had Norris, Tsunoda, Russell. I was really,
Hmm.
I was really hoping that Yuki was gonna get it together. Uh, but so it's the second time I've had Norris over Piastri. Yes, I do think. I think if Verstappen wins, I think it's a Norris second, Piastri third scenario. And part of this also is selfishly keeping the Verstappen title dream alive. So, um, Sam is next. He has taken second place from you. Uh, and
Oh,
I'm sorry. And he has Russell, which he still can't spell right. He always spells it with one L. Piastri for Stappen. You can take his prediction up with him on Xbox sometime this weekend.
Russell Piastri. He has Russell winning.
Russell Piastri Verstappen. Yeah. I
I
responded. I
mean,
said,
I guess
"Poor
it's not
Lando.
so.
No one believes in him." which might give you a little preview into. Oh no, actually that's not true. Andrews is different. So you are up.
Well, you know who I'm putting in first.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton. Got it. Okay, who's next?
um, so I've actually, especially because you mentioned the rain.
But it looks like it's not
I
going to
think I'm.
rain during the races though. So that
Mm,
it looks like it's
but
going
it's
to
gonna get.
rain before. I think it looks like it's going to rain before qualifying
Mm,
and before and after the practice sessions. And then there's a much lower chance of rain on Sunday.
gotcha. I think. Oh, I feel like I'm gonna regret this, dude.
Hmm.
I
Do you want me to type it out and try and soul read you? Can I guess? Are you debating putting Verstappen in second again?
I am debating putting Verstappen in second again, and my third is a clusterfuck right now. But I think I want to put Verstappen in second, and then I think, dude, I feel like I'm gonna regret this, so I shouldn't do it.
Franco Colapinto.
Dave would be so happy,
I know you really would.
dude. I think I want to put Leclerc there. I think I want to put Leclerc
Oh
in third.
my god! What? That's not what I was expecting. I thought you were
Dude,
like Russell, Piastri.
I
I
was
was not expecting Leclerc.
I was debating between Russell and Leclerc.
Oh my god, Charles Leclerc in third.
See, because I have to hope that like if McLaren has a bad pit issue, that it happens to Oscar. Unfortunately, I have to hope for that.
I understand. I understand. I don't agree with it, but I understand.
No, yeah, like I mean, odds like hopefully it doesn't happen at all, and hopefully my third is wrong. I but I kind of want my first and second to be right. Um, respectfully,
I want my first and second to be right, just because it's all so close. What's gonna happen is it's gonna be like Piastri, Verstappen, Norris, and I'm gonna get no. I'm gonna be the second person in history to get all three people on the podium right, but in the wrong spot.
mm,
Um, the Andrew has Norris, Verstappen, Piastri.
yeah, yeah, Andrew,
His reasoning:
yeah.
Lando won last year, and Max has yet to win here. I'm not a full believer in the Max comeback yet, but I think Red Bull figured something out with the floor upgrade, and Max is going to be sharper than everyone else coming off the GT3 win.
Mm.
And finally, the
True, he's
moment
been
every
having fun.
and finally the moment everyone has been waiting for. Dave, P1, Lewis Hamilton because of his dog. For his dog, sorry. P2, Gasly. He's my dog. P3, Verstappen. He has that dog in him. So it's all dog themed for Dave. Um,
Mine's
and
all scooter themed.
he made a beautiful thumbnail for us for Roscoe. I texted him. I said, "Am I gonna have to just put a black and white picture of Roscoe on top of Ferrari red?" And he like dropped it in Discord like right after I texted him. So he was just finishing it up, I think. And he said he experimented with Ferrari red, but it looked like Roscoe was in hell, so he didn't do it. I was like, "That's fair. That's fair." So we will see. So here's the thing. If I get a perfect weekend, or I think I need a perfect weekend. If I get a perfect weekend and no, I don't think it'll matter. Yeah, yeah. If I get a perfect weekend, I'll have over 388 points, and then I will mathematically eliminate Dave from winning pick the
Oh,
podium.
jeez.
Which is crazy that it's taken to week 18. So I would need
Dave hanging on.
my that would be my first perfect weekend too. I've yet to get one. I'm the only one who hasn't gotten one,
What do you
aside from
mean you're the
Dave.
only one?
I didn't get one last year. You got one. Sam got two, and Andrews had one, I think. Or maybe Andrews also had
Mm.
two. I can tell you right now. I have this whole document of stats that I keep. Um, Full podium. Andrew has 2. You and Sam have 1. That's what it is. You
Wait,
picked
what's the points for that?
58
58.
if you get a perfect.
Did I get it last year?
You got it last year.
Okay, I was like, there's no
No
shot
one's
I got
got
it
no
this
one's
year.
gotten one this year. So Andrew got 2
Okay,
last year,
okay.
which is why he won. Um, you have predicted first place correctly 11 times. So has Andrew. I've predicted it correctly 10 times. Sam, well, Sam's also predicted
Awesome.
the most second places at 7. You have 4. Me and Andrew have 5. Dave has 1. uh, and you and he's tied with Andrew for the most third places at 6. You have 5. I have 2.
What the hell?
Your total pick percentage, for first place, you have a 26% accuracy, 9% accuracy for second, a 12% accuracy for third, and a 2% accuracy for your full podium. That's between
Good
this year and
lord.
last year. I'm keeping a lot of stats here.
Career
All right.
stat.
Yeah, I am. I actually am, and yearly stats as well. Yearly
I
stats as
like
well.
that.
Last year, you were at a perfect 25% for predicting first places.
Damn.
um, I am. I am keeping. I'm going to share all these stats at the end of the year. Um, so Lando has been
Oh,
picked for first place between everybody a total of 28 times this year. Now, do you think Lando's been picked more or less than Piastri this year for first place?
this year?
Yeah.
Like total?
Between all 5 of us.
Piastri's been picked more for first.
By 1. He has 29.
I'm probably holding it down for
I
next
think you
year.
are. You've picked him 17 times, and I've picked Piastri 12. So it's my fault. Oh. So most second places belong to Lando. He's got 21, and then Piastri has 17, and then Verstappen has 15. And then the most third places is Chuck Leclerc. He's got 17, 8 of which are from you.
Chuck Leclerc?
Yeah. 17 total, 8 of which are from you, and Russell has 14, 6 of which are from me. Bortoletto and Lawson have all been picked once for third place. You want to take a wild guess at who chose that?
Shout out Dave.
Oh, yes. So those are the stats. Thank you for being here. I know I apologize for your tech issues, even though it's not my fault. Still is
I was like, that's
not fun
never
to
us.
deal with. Um, if you're watching this on YouTube, let me know if you believe in the Max Verstappen dream. And type out a rip Roscoe. Pour one out for Roscoe. Thanks for being here. We will be back next week for the Singapore review. But are we back next week for a race preview? Is it a double episode or is it a half episode?
I don't know.
It's a half episode. So actually, this is good. We will be back next week. The week after that is Austin. We should be
Mm.
here for a race preview. We will not be here for a race review. I have an unskippable yearly work event on that night. So there will be no Austin race preview. We'll do a really quick refresher like the week after or something. Well, we'll update the podium, the points, and everything like that. And there might be F101. I don't know if there's going to be any live content. I might try and do something there, like while we're at the race, but no promises. So stay tuned and for that. So yes, that's so we'll be here next week for the Singapore review. The week after, we should be here for the Austin preview, unless packing ends up taking longer than I want it to, and I'm not available Wednesday night because I fly out Thursday. We'll deal with that later. So, all right, that is that. Thank you for being here, Nate. Thank you for watching if you're watching. And good night.